Right, I'm live here with Nicky Ball, Leatherhead manager, after their 3-1 win against Potters Bar Town. What a great hat-trick that was from Joe Leslie.
Yeah, took his goals really well today. I think Jerry up front adds another dimension to us. He occupies centre halves, and it just allows Joe Leslie and Danny Rowe on either side some freedom to express themselves. And we know once we get in that final third, any type of good delivery in the box, Jerry's going to win it or create a bit of havoc for others to benefit from. So we've played him up front in the last couple of games, and week by week he's getting better.
Oh, mate, he brings a lot of people into play, definitely. To be fair, if Joe hadn't got the hat-trick, I would have given him man of the match, because some of his players winning all the flick-ons, and, you know, was that always something in your mind you thought you might do one day with Jerry? You know, particularly with him sort of getting a bit slower in his age, like at the back. Whether you thought, I wonder if he could do a centre-forward role.
Well, in the past, when we've been losing games with 10, 15 to go, we've resorted to throwing him up top as kind of a bit of a, I wouldn't say novelty act, but you know when you're chasing a game and the game plan's not working. So on occasions we've thrown him up there. But, you know, sometimes you're forced into these moves. Obviously, Stefan Brown's injured. Great's isolating now. Great Evans.
So he's got COVID now.
Well, he's isolating. Someone he's come into contact with's had it, so he's not been feeling great.
Wow, so it wasn't a strain, because someone was saying when I was doing the commentary with Simon that maybe, you know, that he'd had because he'd been out and then he played last week and then he's not here this week. So obviously that's news as well.
Yeah, so he's been told to stay away from the group in the short term, and obviously the way the club is at the moment, we don't have any resource to go and get people, so we have to make sure we do what we usually do, which is get on with it and put the best side out we can.
Well, I don't know if you know, it's probably news now, but obviously it looks like we're going to go into a lockdown, and it looks like it's going to start from Thursday. So it looks like you might get your last game against Red Hill in the Surrey Senior Cup Tuesday night. So hopefully any supporters can get themselves out for your last footy fix, because I don't feel we're going to resume until after Christmas. I mean, how will that affect? I was just talking to Lee, you know, no one really thinks about it. If you have a month shutdown, or probably a little bit longer possibly, it's almost, the players can't just start again. They're not training, so you have to have a little mini pre-season again to get yourself back into it. So what's your general thoughts where this might all lead to?
Well, it's just, we're living in crazy times, aren't we? It's very hard, I think, to plan for all eventualities. You know, even the best strategic people have been caught unaware and unprepared in this pandemic. I don't know, it's interesting. When we played Folkestone a couple of weeks ago, I sat with Neil Cugley for 20 minutes in my office, and he just felt like I did that, you know, pre-season, everything, we were half starting a season knowing it wasn't really it's never really gonna get going.
Like I said that as well, in all honesty. But you try to believe it might not happen. And now that news today is sort of like made me sit back a bit. And even though I thought it could well happen, my more worry is that we get after Christmas and then, you know, things get a little bit back to where we were again, and then the leagues just don't start again. They decide that they're going to knock it on the head. So everything that everyone's done, all everyone's hard work and effort, is all for nothing again.
Yeah. I think whatever happens this year, they have to have relegation and promotion. I think, but I think, you know, if it starts again after Christmas, you're going to have some kind of knockout tournament, and you're going to have some kind of knockout, because
to get some pre-season type thing.
No, to settle everything, because you look at, you know, I look at this in my realistic hat on. You've got Worthing, who in my opinion were going to win the league last year with 8 or 9 games to go. They've managed to keep their squad together, not lose their heads about it, start the season flying. They're 5 or 6 points clear at the top. You know, whoever's putting money in there or whatever, but all these clubs, like, again, it's kind of like, it's dead money again. Like, what's the desire from people to keep putting their hand in the pocket? There has to be, you know, I just think if you expunged it again, like we're talking hypothetically, because, you know, if the second wave sorts itself out and we get back in January for at least a couple of months, but
I mean, could it, in all honesty, I was saying again to Lee, you know, even if we did start, say, January, what would be the problem if we did end up going into June and July to finish the league off? I know I'm not so sure where FA commitments and that go, but from a step 3 perspective, surely if you went into June, you know what I mean, it wouldn't be end of the world stuff to go, you know, to escalate the leagues a bit further into the summer to get it finished for once.
Yeah, I guess it just opens a can of worms at our level with non-contract players.
Oh, from that perspective.
Contract players, non-contract players, when's the stop date? What's to stop then people at the top nicking players and putting them on non-contracts?
Well, yeah, there's another thing. Have Leatherhead got any contracted players? Just
yes,
out of interest. So how does that make out? Like, how are those contracted players? Because I believe the FA can't, if they shut down, you've got to pay them until the end of the season.
We've put clauses all in our contracts, COVID clauses.
In your own self, but not from an FA perspective.
From our point of view, because it was always. I'm quite fortunate in the respect I work in the healthcare environment, and even when we came out of lockdown in the first time and we were playing pre-season games, in my work,
safeguarded from putting in your own written contracts. I'm not having to pay these players that are contracted for a season. I'm not just talking about Leatherhead. It's just a general thing, because it come up in some conversation I had of recent time, that the fact that a lot of people, a lot of clubs have not put any players on contract simply because they know that they're going to be committed, or the FA haven't put their head on the chopping block to see those contracts out. So there's no get out of jail from the FA to see these contracts. So financially, the burden will fall on the clubs. So then you've got the other issue that other clubs probably know that a lot of clubs are not putting in, so they're tapping them up left, right and centre behind the scenes. So all that goes on this season, which is an unusual event as well.
Yeah, like I say, I don't. Usually when there's problems, you can go down a path and say, right, if we go down this path, it will sort itself out. With everything that's going on in the world in the moment, it's difficult. I believe my understanding of this football club is the secretary and the administration here safeguarded themselves within those contracts with clauses around COVID, and those contracts were approved by the FA. So that's my understanding.
Yeah.
For Leatherhead Football Club, I don't know about other clubs, but that's my understanding. But then obviously you have that. If COVID comes in and a player money stops because there's a COVID clause, does he then have the right to get out of that contract and go and sign for someone? I don't know.
Yeah, I saw. I always put
100%.
You on the spot. Sorry, but that's something that's come into play. I should have asked Lee about it as well, but I didn't think they would have too many on contract there. Maybe they have, but I just thought, what a key element that that again added on to all this COVID lockdown thing that's going. They're just extra worries now that clubs have got. Do you think the elite will carry on and they see their seasons through because they're being compensated by the government?
Yeah, I believe so. But then again, like all this tier business, if it's a national down lockdown, I don't see if you're say a Wycombe Wanderers and you've got to play Rotherham away. You've got to go from one place to another. You've got to stay overnight.
That'd be interesting. I don't how it will affect sport at every level. So it's all out there.
Yeah.
It's all news. And sorry to put you on the spot. Well, I always try and give you. But that's my last difficult question. I mean, look, listen. Good luck for the rest of the season. Who would you want to pull out there if you had the opportunity? I suppose they might even do the draw on Monday. They probably will. So that'd be interesting. Just a home draw. Is that all?
Again, I think did the Conference South teams come in now?
I think they could do the next one. Yeah.
Well, for me, we'd always say
you'd always go the higher.
We'd always say we'll have Dorking at home because it'll bring in the most revenue for the club. We had it last year. So from a revenue point of view, home or away against Dorking would be great for the football club. But like I say, Mick, we're on air now. We're very focused on what's happening in our bubble, our like non-league head-on. But there's a bigger picture out there, and I just feel like, we had this chat last time.
This is superficial what we're talking about.
Last time we had a chat on air whether people were going to bend the rules, and people were pointing the fingers at maybe Bowers and that. In those situations, like I say, they're a really well-run football club, and if they're pulling out of games, it's because they feel the safety of their players is most important. And I just feel
that hasn't come to a conclusion yet, has it?
Yeah, it's just we're on a tipping edge, and I know we're going into lockdown to apparently save Christmas, but how many Christmas is the government ruining by stopping people from working and earning money? What does Christmas look like to people that can't work? Businesses going to the wall. I said last time on air, I wouldn't want to be making those decisions because you can't protect everyone. There's going to be people dying of cancer because they're not getting treatments because of lockdown, people not going to hospital appointments, people's mental health because they can't work, they can't actually go and earn money to provide for their families because of a lockdown. It's, unfortunately the government have to choose whose lives they're prioritising, people at risk of COVID or people that can't get treatment for others. It's just a really, really horrible time and strange times, and we just all hope that a vaccination comes out quickly. I think that puts this all to bed.
But on a further note, just to see this interview out, because we don't want to be all negative, and let's hope that the leagues will resume, because from that will help people for all this traumaticness just to come out. I see a lot of elderly gentlemen that come and watch your games, and they're buzzing just to watch the game, talking socially. Yes, all right, they're trying to keep their distance, but and it's trying to do all the right things, but just socially and mentally for the elderly generation, it's such a big thing,
Even the referee got out today. How old was he, by the way? Jeez, he must have been at least 80. He's had a good day out anyway.
Anyway, we'll leave it on that nice
note,
and hopefully I'll see you Tuesday night. I'll get my last football fix for this
year.
Thanks very much. Thank you.